Hey, hockey fans, T-Boz is 13-3 here with top shelf guest, former Hermantown Hawk, Waterloo Blackhawk, UMD Bulldog, and current Winnipeg Jet, Dylan Samberg. This episode is sponsored by Riverside Bike and Skate, Dooley's Pub, Ryan Flagg at State Farm Insurance, Williams Diamond Center, and Chippewa Valley Orthopedics and Sports Medicine, which has been committed to the healthcare needs of patients in western Wisconsin since 1954. The orthopedic surgeons and athletic trainers serve many area schools in the Chippewa Valley. Mogi.
Oh, we are so excited to be here with Dylan Samberg on his beautiful, beautiful lake home on Island Lake just outside of Hermantown, Minnesota. Thanks so much for having us up here. You dialed in a great day for us.
Yeah, it ended up being a pretty nice day, but thanks for coming up and taking the time.
Absolutely.
A little bit different than being raised in the winters up here right now.
Yeah, I've learned to like the summers a little bit better. Yeah.
Well, you were raised in northern Minnesota. Winters are long. Was there any doubt that you were going to play some winter sport?
I think from the early get-go, my parents put me on the ice, and they in whatever sport they wanted to get me in as many sports as I possibly could, and they realized that I loved it, and especially the winter, so it worked out nice.
It certainly did. Did you play multiple sports?
Yeah, I probably played. Tried to play as many as I could. I played soccer, hockey, baseball, football, golf. So I tried to get as many as I could in.
I saw something about cross country.
I did run a couple years of cross country. I was like 5th and 6th grade. So
okay.
Yeah, okay. I had some free time, so I decided to try a new one.
Why not?
Yeah.
I'm assuming that was not your favorite sport because it only lasted 2 years.
Yeah, it was. At the time, I actually liked it. That was when I was a lot smaller and I could run for days. But I think after that, it turned into 7th and 8th grade were tackle football. So I decided to switch over.
Nice.
Sure.
Love the contact aspect.
Yep, absolutely.
There you go. So obviously you're a big guy. Okay, 6'4", 220, according to what we've been reading. When did the growth spurt hit? You said you were a little bit smaller back in the day. When did the growth spurt hit?
It hit just after my freshman year of high school. So it was like I was 5'8", 135. I was the smallest guy in all my teams, and all of a sudden one summer I came back and everyone was looking at me like, whoa. I grew to 6 foot, and then from there, throughout that year, I grew to 6'3", and then till my senior year, I was like up to 6'4". So
wow, nice.
It happened quick. I looked at my dad, who's 6'5", and my mom was 5'9.5", and I'm like, it's got to happen at some point, you think?
Yeah.
So it was only a matter of time, and it finally happened.
So did your game change at all? I mean, different from a smaller guy to a bigger guy?
Yeah, I think so. Obviously, when you're the small guy, you're a little bit more aware of other guys on the ice because you're used to always looking up at guys, and now you're looking down at them. But it took some time. I went through a little bit of a giraffe-like stage, but I felt like I grew out of that one pretty quick. It was just more so putting on the weight, which was the tough part at the beginning.
Okay.
Do you follow a pretty strict diet while you're, in training and playing right now?
Yeah, I guess more so in the summer. I can get away with more during the season because you're working so hard and you're sweating and burning so many calories. But you try to dial it in a little bit more in the summer.
So you're not stopping at Dairy Queen every week?
No, I actually, as I've gotten older, I've kind of grew out of my ice cream days, so that's probably a good thing.
They'll come back.
Yeah, I'm sure they will.
Yeah. We've never met a Dairy Queen we didn't like, right?
Yeah,
that's right.
I agree with you.
Tell us a little bit about youth hockey. What age did you start playing, and what was the experience like with your buddies out there? Were you a rink rat?
Yes, big rink rat guy. I actually started out at Twig. It's a small little community outdoor rink with 3 rinks. And I started skating at 2. My parents brought me out there.
Holy cow.
And they said that they put the push cart out or whatever, and used it for 5 minutes, didn't like it, pushed it to the side, and I started skating around. So they thought, oh, he's pretty good at this for right now, I guess. So they wanted me to start at 3, Twig did, but my parents said no, and they waited till 4, and played 4 years there at Twig, and then that's when I moved on to Hermantown. But we had a lot of rink rat days at Twig and in Hermantown.
So isn't there a professional player or former player that was actually from Twig?
I don't think so. But I know there was a college player. I'm not entirely sure about professional player, but yeah, I don't really know.
We've driven up north numerous times to go fishing. Go up to Lake of the Woods, and you go right by Twig.
Yep.
And yeah, I know right where you started. So
yeah, right off the highway there.
Interesting little enclave there.
Yeah, yep. Didn't play indoors till for the first 4 years, which was fun.
Wow. Did you guys help build the rink, or was that up to the dads at that point? You're pretty young still.
The dads kind of they did a lot of the flooding. So my dad had a lot of late nights out there with a lot of other dads. So very appreciative of him for that.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Any coaches or mentors back in your youth that kind of helped, direct you or push you because they knew that you were, pretty good at the game?
Yeah, I was very fortunate to have a lot of good youth coaches. My dad actually coached me till Pee-wees, and then I went on to Bantams, and that's when the first time I didn't have my dad as a coach, which was different, but I think it was good. I had Pat Andrews as my coach in Bantams, and then I obviously moved on to the famous Bruce Plant. So the head coach at Hermantown there for many years, and he was awesome, and he always pushed us every day to get the best out of us, and I was fortunate enough to finish off my high school career and his high school career together with a win.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, that was cool.
Big W. So we want to talk about that a little bit. There's one of my questions in there was, what's your most memorable goal in hockey?
I'd probably have to say that one. Yeah. In the state tournament there in triple overtime. Yeah, still get chills thinking about it. Cause that's obviously a very big tournament when you grow up. Me and my buddies always used to go down there before we were high school age, and it was a huge thing to be able to make it to that. And, for me, just to be able to go on to win it was something truly special.
And to win it with a game-winning goal on top of it.
Yeah, that was
Senior
cool.
Year, captain. Holy cow. What a Cinderella story.
Absolutely. Yeah, I got the celebration from... so I actually went to the UMD when they won in 2011, the national championship game. My dad and I were fortunate enough to know somebody who got us some tickets. And when Schmidt scored the overtime winner against Michigan there, he did the Snow Angel. And it was at XL Energy Center as well. So that's the first thing that came to my mind after I scored. I don't know why, but yeah, little homage.
Snow Angel act. Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
So do you still have the puck?
Maybe. If anything, my mom or dad would have it. My mom likes to keep those things.
Oh, that's kind of cool that they'd have that. All right. But, your career in high school was beyond belief. I think 2 state championships, triple overtime game winner. You played at an excessive level. When were colleges starting to look at you?
I started talking to colleges my junior year. But from the get-go, I really knew where I wanted to go, and that was UMD. So I was kind of at that point just waiting for them to reach out to me. But I had a few other schools like Cornell, Bemidji State, Mankato State, and then eventually UMD reached out to me, and I was like, yep, absolutely. Just tell me where to sign.
I've been waiting for this call for my whole life.
Yep, exactly.
So let's talk a little bit about Hermantown. As I was looking at this stuff, I saw that you folks played in 10 out of the last 14 Class 1A Minnesota State Hockey Championships. You won it in 16 and 17 when you were there, and they also won it in 22. What's going on in Hermantown that it's so magical with the hockey?
I don't know, but we've had a very fortunate run over the past 14 years. A lot of those, unfortunately, didn't end up in a win in the championship game, but my last 2 years were 2 wins, so that was really cool and really special. But yeah, we just have a really good community here, and everyone's always supporting each other, and we'll go above and beyond if you ever ask me to do anything.
When you're back in the area like this, are there any hockey camps going on that you might make a surprise appearance just to, say hi to the kids, maybe get on the ice with them?
Possibly. I haven't heard of any yet, but I know in past years I used to go they had UMD Bulldog Camp. Sure. So they had anywhere from squirts, mites, I think Pee-wees and Bantams, and a little bit of high school kids. So I used to come back and work those camps, and that was kind of cool because I used to love going to those camps as a kid. So it was kind of nice to return the favor in a sense.
Sure. Did you see any little Dylan Sambergs out there? Or?
There were a couple of really good players, yeah. I wouldn't say I was an all-star at that age, but I like to play the game.
Well, tell our listeners what position you play and why did you choose that position?
Well, I played defense. I started off as forward. Then after Pee Wees, I moved on to Bantams, and in order to make the Bantam AA team at the time, the forward spots were kind of filled, and there were some D spots open, and the coach was like, "Well, you want to try D for a couple practices, see how it goes?" I'm like, "Sure. If I make the team, that absolutely." Yeah.
What do I have to do?
Yeah, I ended up playing D and could still do a lot of the stuff that the forward could do, and I was like, "Okay, this isn't so bad after all." And it ended up working out where I grew eventually, and obviously with the reach, that helped a lot.
And being a little bit bigger, a little more confident in the corners and on the wall, I imagine?
Yeah, absolutely. You're not as scared of going into the corners. Yeah.
Yeah, because you're used to, bearing down on that defenseman. It was a little bit different now.
Yeah, you had to look over your shoulder constantly instead of keeping your head down right at the guy. But, it took some time to get used to, but, we had good coaches that really supported me and, helped me with the change.
And look where you are.
It worked out.
You're in the NHL playing D. How cool is that?
Very cool. Yeah.
So speaking of the NHL and just hockey at a higher level overall, did you have any hockey heroes growing up? Any UMD Bulldogs you emulated or any pro guys?
Yeah, there was, I followed UMD hockey very, very intensely growing up and tried to get to as many games as possible. I was very good friends with Ryan Sandlin, the head coach's son.
Sure.
Growing up, knew him since I was 2, still really good buddies. Actually the best man at my wedding.
Oh.
Yeah, so that's very cool.
Minnesota State guy, right?
Yep. Now he's moved on and he played for the Colorado Eagles the past year and a half, I guess. So
excellent.
He's enjoying his time out there. But so I watched Drew Akins. I'm trying to think who else. Andrew Carroll, Jason Garrison, Mason Raymond. A lot of those guys. I used to Chad Huddle. I just loved going to hockey games, and I feel like back in the day I used to know their entire roster by heart, but not so much anymore. Yeah.
You got a few more things on your mind right now.
Yes, absolutely.
Let's talk about your experience with the Bulldogs. You mentioned that they reached out. Was that a phone call? Did you get a knock on the door? How did that happen?
It was a phone call. Scott Sandlin reached out to me. I think it was actually during our state golf tournament, like our practice round. He gave me right before the practice round started, he gave me a call and said he wanted to talk when I got back, and then eventually he came over and for a nice dinner, and that's when he offered me. But right when I saw the phone call, I was praying that was what it was about, and ended up being that, and I told him yes immediately. So
you didn't even want the red carpet treatment of going through the locker room or anything?
No tour, no red carpet treatment. My mom worked at UMD, so I knew the campus by heart already. So
wow.
Yeah. Pretty sweet.
Yeah.
So after your last year at Hermantown, you guys win the state tournament, and you ended up going down to Waterloo for 6 of their last regular season games, and then you played the playoffs with them. Mm-hmm. What was that like? Big change from high school to the USHL?
Yeah, I would say so. Usually in high school, you got one or two guys on a team that are, really solid and have a really good chance of moving on to the next level. And when you get to the USHL, you have pretty much 18 of those guys. So that part was a little bit different, but I felt like I was acclimated to it pretty quick, and I just really wanted to go down there and get a good experience out of it, see what it was all about, and we had a really good team there, great group of guys, a couple guys that I actually played with at UMD with Nick Sweeney and Mikey Anderson. So it was a good taste.
So then right to UMD after that.
Yeah, that was more so of a surprise.
It had to be.
Yeah, I was planning on playing another year of juniors after that, but Neil Pionk decided to leave early, and then that's when Scott Sandlin ended up calling me and said we need another defenseman to come in. And I thought about it for a few days and then decided to to make the jump.
Nice homegrown talent. Doesn't have to go far.
Yeah, that
Replace
part's
another homegrown talent guy. How cool is that?
That part was cool, and I actually took his number. Same
wow.
number, yeah, number 4. So, yeah.
Very cool.
Wow. Okay, so now you step in literally from high school to college, and you're playing amongst men at this point, 22, 23-year-old guys. What was that feeling at first? Was there a little bit of fear, or was it just more like, holy crap, I did this, I made it?
Yeah, a little bit of fear. You're nervous. It's especially my first game. I think I fell like 3 times in my first shift. Just not even hitting anybody. I was just so nervous. But yeah, you get pretty acclimated to it pretty quick with like adjusted. Just end of the day, they're the same guys as you, just a couple of years older, and especially after my first year, I felt more comfortable going into my second and third year in college.
I bet you did.
Yeah.
Holy crap.
Yeah, I was able to put on more weight, and that helped a lot.
So tell us how excited you were to be drafted by the Winnipeg Jets. Originally, you were anticipating to go 4th round. All of a sudden, 2nd round, Dylan Samberg out of UMD. What was that experience like?
Quite a surprise. Obviously a great surprise, but no, it was very cool. I decided to go down and watch the draft, watch the first round just to see how it was. I never watched like the draft on TV or anything, so it was cool to get a experience in person. I felt like it was once in a lifetime kind of thing, and I was able to bring my family down there. And first round was cool, very long, but cool to see. And then came in the second day, and actually one of their amateur scouts, Winnipeg's, that I had talked to previously, ran into him coming in the front doors, said hi to him. He said good luck, and then went to my seat, and sure enough, 10 picks later, ended up calling my name. So I feel like that was kind of a sign.
Heck yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, and where were you in your career at that time?
That was right after Waterloo. So right before I went into UMD.
Okay.
Yep.
So right after high school.
Yeah. You hadn't even played a shift of college yet at that point.
Nope.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. And now let's go back to UMD. That was not a slouch of a career either. I mean, you played on some damn good teams, and obviously for a Hall of Fame coach, you should be in the Hall of Fame eventually. When you look back at the guys that you played with, who stands out in your mind at that time that you're thinking, I'm on the ice with this guy and I know he's going to go pro as well?
Scott Prunovich, Hunter Shepard. Yeah. Yep. He's an unbelievable player. We had Mikey Anderson, Joey Anderson, Riley Tufte. We had a lot of players on our team that I knew they were drafted, a lot of them, and I knew they were going to go pro eventually. But I'd say Scott Prunovich was very fun to watch. I'll never tell him that in person, but no, he had an excellent college career, and you knew anytime on the ice, anytime he went on the ice, something good was going to happen, or something crazy was going to happen. And our goalie Hunter Shepard, he was just one of those gamers. He would just show up at the right time, and he's actually playing for the Hershey Bears right now, and they won the Calder last year, and they have a really good chance at winning again this year. And he's just that's just the way he is. He's a winner.
Wow. NHL someday for him?
I could definitely see it. He actually got into a game, his first game this past year.
Nice.
So yeah, which is good to see. It's tough for a goalie to make it, so it was good to see him.
Right.
Yeah.
What was your favorite experience with the Bulldogs?
I'd have to say the first national championship. Just to have it in our home state of Minnesota and down at the XL Energy Center. Not saying the second one wasn't good either, but in Buffalo. But there's just nothing else like it. And when you think back on college, those are the kind of memories that you think of. And we had a really good team, really connected team. A lot of guys knew each other previously before college, and I feel like that was very helpful.
What is it about you and the XL Energy Center? It kind of brings out the best in you, doesn't it?
I guess so. I don't know, but
what's next?
I love that building.
High school? High school?
Yeah.
National championship. What's next? Stanley Cup, maybe?
I sure hope so.
Wow.
That's definitely the next thing on the
docket.
Let's go with
that, okay?
Yep.
Let's go to Buffalo for a second. I was there.
Okay.
I enjoyed that whole tournament. It was an absolute blast. Compare that rink to the XL Energy Center.
I think the XL was more sold out at the time, just because it was a Minnesota team playing in Minnesota. But Buffalo was good, and it was I'd say it was pretty similar. And obviously, the national championship, a lot of people are gonna come out. It's gonna be a big production, and which it was, and we ended up playing a really solid game against a really good team at the time, and to be able to shut them out in the national championship, it just goes to how good our team was.
Absolutely. You guys didn't have there was no weak spots per se. I mean, a team would have had a difficult time trying to prepare for you guys because you were just like a swarm of bees. You never stopped. So as you look back at that team, you talked about the goalies, you talk about the guys that you played with. As you look back on that career, is there anything that you would have done differently? Or are you happy with everything that fell into place?
I don't think so. I'm very happy with how everything fell into place. I was really hoping we'd get another crack at it our third year. Okay. COVID, that would be the only thing, but it's not really so much of a thing, and just is what it is, and you just got to roll with the punches sometimes.
You got to. That's a lot more than most guys get.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Exactly. So I'm not going to complain.
So what led your decision to leave school after your junior year? And a lot of guys seem to leave after their junior year. Is there something to that?
So they had actually talked to me after my sophomore year about leaving, and they came down and had dinner with me and wanted me to move on, and I just wasn't so sure if I was ready yet. Plus, a lot of the guys actually wanted to stay and go for that third championship, and I just wanted one more year to kind of define my game before I turned pro, and wanted to make sure that eventually when I did turn pro, I was going in full force, fully prepared for it. So, I pretty much after my sophomore year, and I told them I wasn't going to go up, I was dead set that I was leaving after my junior year.
Was it tough knowing that you're in college versus a pro? You're not making any money. You're scrounging for pizza money, here and there, versus, 5-star hotels, great food, great restaurants, but you were able to do that.
Yeah, it's it's tough to think about, but at the time I didn't really know those experiences, so I couldn't really compare it to anything. I obviously knew that it came with money when you signed and everything, but I had never experienced any of those 5-star places or anything like that, so I didn't have anything to compare it to, which was probably a good thing.
So tell us about pizza. Tell us about Sammy's Pizza, where you used to hang out with your buddies.
Great spot, yeah. Very, very good pizza. A lot of people around here love it. That's my dad's favorite spot as well. Whenever my mom went out of town for work or anything, he would say, "All right, I'm cooking. Let's go to Sammy's. We're going to Sammy's."
Dad does.
Yep. And then we'd get a nice family size beef pizza between the two of us and crush it all.
Oh, I believe that.
Yep. But we had a lot of. It was nice. The buffet they had especially the one in the west end of Duluth. They had pizza, salad, chicken wings, pasta, and for like $11 for lunch.
Oh, they lost money on you, didn't they?
Oh yeah, yeah. We had a lot of college guys in there, so we would clean them out.
Oh man. All right, we're going to give a quick shout out to a couple of our sponsors. Dooley's Pub has been Eau Claire's home for hockey and all sports fans since 2005. Dooley's Pub is a proud booster of the University of Wisconsin-Eau Claire and local high schools. Dooley's is located on historic Water Street, providing excellent food and service, and has all of your favorite sports televised at all times. And Riverside Bike and Skate, Eau Claire's hockey headquarters, which is the oldest hockey store in the state of Wisconsin. Buy hockey gear from the people that play and know the game. And don't forget about their bicycle sales and service, as well as your paddle sports center for kayaks and canoes. Moog.
So, Dylan, I think actually, were you part of the Bulldogs when they came to Chippewa Falls to play an exhibition with Wisconsin?
No, I don't think so. I think that was either the year before me or after me.
You might have been after you.
Was it pretty recent?
Yeah, it was just within the last 3 years, I think, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry about that. Anyway, we talked to Scott Sandlin that day, and he was very gracious. Great guy, did a great job. What did you like about playing for him?
I loved that you knew what to expect every single day, and there was no beating around the bush with him, and he'd tell it to you straight. And I knew him from a very young age, and I knew how he was as a coach, what he expected from his players, and I wanted to learn from him because he obviously played in the NHL as a defenseman, so he had seen it, and I wanted to grow under him, develop under him as a head coach that played defense. And there was also a couple other assistant coaches that played defense as well. So I felt like that was, for me, the most beneficial place to go to.
Nice. As you look back on those college days, when you're getting ready for a weekend game, which team did you feel in your conference was the biggest rival that you had to get up for?
There was a lot of, I feel like in our conference we had a good amount of those, but one place that we always struggled to win was in St. Cloud. For some reason, we could never sweep them there. We might pull out one win, but most of the time we got walloped in St. Cloud. So I feel like we always had a really tough battle with them. That or North Dakota, they were always a very good, tough opponent.
Oh, I bet you the Ralph was something else to play in.
Yeah, it was. Unfortunately, I only got to play in it one weekend my sophomore year, because they do it where we only go there every other year. Okay. So it happened to fall on my sophomore year, and I only had 3 years, so I missed it 2 of the other years. But that one time was pretty surreal.
Nice, absolutely. Let's look about or talk about the jump from college to pro. I mean, from high school to college was one hell of a jump. But what was that like when you stepped on the ice for your first practice or tryout with the Jets and you're out there with these pro hockey players? What was that speed difference and skill difference like?
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely different. These are the best of the best. So, all these guys they got everything, little skill dialed in, whether it be hands, if it's a defenseman walking the blue line or anything. So you got to make sure you keep up with them. But I kind of took it more, my first time there as more of like a learning experience, trying to enjoy every little moment, keep up with them. And, it is what it is. And it ended up working out for me.
Certainly.
Did you do the solo lap your first game?
I did, yeah. Well, there was actually me and Declan Chisholm who got traded to Minnesota Wild. Yep. So, yeah, we had our first game on the same night.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah, which was really cool. We played with the Moose for a couple of years together, and we were able to share it on the same night.
Sure.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Did you feel you needed that experience with the Moose for a while?
Yeah. I mean, I feel like everyone that comes to pro hockey, they're thinking, I can make this team. I deserve to be here. And everyone, they want to be in that situation right away. But I feel like, for me, I felt like, okay, sit back, relax. And you've done it your entire life where you've waited. You've gone from high school hockey, USHL, college. You've taken your time with it. It's worked out for you. So what's one more step to add on?
Oh, I like that attitude.
Sounds like, although you're confident, you have a lot of trust in your coaches, that they knew best. And, from the sounds of things, the way you've progressed, I mean, you haven't made a misstep all along the way.
Yeah, knock on wood. Hopefully that continues. But yeah, I had a lot of good people in my corner that growing up would always say, "There's, what's the rush? There's no need to rush it. If it's going to happen, it'll happen." And I just looked at my life that way, and I was like, "Well, I'm just going to sit back, enjoy the time I have at each team and in each section of my life." And it's worked out for me so far. So I thought, no reason to change it.
Smart way to do it.
What skill set did you bring to the game that Sandlin liked and the NHL liked?
I think for me, as I developed into a defenseman, into that two-way kind of defenseman role, more so just like your first pass. They were always harping on me on my first pass, making sure not just to get it up there, but get it up there on the guy's tape, being hard defensively, not letting anybody get inside. And I felt like as over my end of my college career into my professional career, I feel like I've really honed in on those skills. And then now I feel like I want to develop even more. I've been trying to work on my offensive side of things. But yeah, it's always a process. You're always learning. You're always trying new things. So that's what's fun about it.
That first pass out of the zone for a defenseman is so important for your team.
Exactly. Yeah, it's everything. It's what gets the rush going the other way, and you see a lot of these coaches nowadays are starting to teach these kids the first pass at younger and younger, and I feel like it's more beneficial.
Yeah.
When you're playing in a game and you're out there with whatever team it might be, Hall of Famers from Connor McDavid to Sidney Crosby, whomever, you're on the ice. It's one-on-one, just you and the guy coming down on you. Who do you not want to see on that puck?
Well, I'm sure you guys can guess probably a couple of them in McDavid and McKinnon. Yeah. But, I mean, there's so many guys around the league, but definitely the top two are McKinnon and McDavid. You really got to dial in when you see them coming down on you. It's more one of those moments, just don't end up on ESPN kind of thing. But yeah, they're just their footwork, their hands, everything is moving so fast, and you almost have to like slow down your game and not try and fall for those little jukes. But there's a reason that they're the best of the best, and they're almost in a league of their own, kind of, to a sense.
Watching those guys in the playoffs, it's fun for me watching playoff hockey because you get more than just the one game. Mm-hmm. You get 4 games for sure, and you're watching 3 out of 4 for sure. So you can really focus on that and the way they accelerate, and the way they handle the biscuit and just the tight turns and the stick handling. I don't know how you don't just get mesmerized and just, oh my God, I can't believe it.
You definitely have some moments where you do get mesmerized by it, and that's usually when they get around you. Yeah.
And you're on ESPN.
Yeah. But, it's just, you just got to make sure, I feel like, just don't overreach, don't get out of position. And, I feel like I've learned that the more and more I play against those guys, I've learned to not overextend, just let them come to you, kind of thing.
Yeah.
You're on the blue line. Before you go out, the coach looks at you and says, pick any defenseman in the NHL to be your partner. Who's on the blue line next to you?
Ooh. Any defenseman? It's a tough one. I'd probably have to go with a UMD guy and Justin Falk.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, because I really liked him as a player when he first came into UMD, and he played that 1 year, and he ended up winning the national championship there. But he was always fun to watch growing up. As I moved into a defenseman, that's one guy I was like, okay, this guy's fun to watch. He's obviously had a great career so far, and I'd probably, I mean, there's a lot of them out there, but I'd have to go with the UMD guy.
There you go. Stick with the dogs.
I like it.
So we pulled in, JC was telling you how much he liked your shirt, the USA Hockey shirt, and you had the opportunity to represent our country in 2 World Junior Championships. You won a bronze and a silver. Mm-hmm. What was that like?
Very cool. I wish we would have been able to win it both times. Obviously, it doesn't work out like that every time, but it was a very, very good experience. I'd never grown up watching World Juniors at all, so I didn't really know too much about it leading into it my first year. And obviously in Canada, it's a massive thing that I've learned more after living with Cole Perfetti these past few years. He's always dying to put that World Juniors on. So, but it was a really cool experience. Our first one was in Buffalo, and then we were able to do the outdoor game there.
Oh wow!
Which was cool. It was snowing and everything, so it was kind of hard to see the puck. We had to take a lot more breaks than usual, just for shoveling. But that one was cool. I ended up going to a shootout, and we beat Canada. But then the next year following that, it was up on Victoria Island in Vancouver, and the Victoria Island was very cool to see.
It's beautiful, isn't it?
Beautiful.
Yeah. Beautiful country.
Mm-hmm.
How did when the World Juniors come around? How are the teams picked? Were you called to say, "Hey, come and strap on the skates for us and see what you can do," or how does that work?
So yeah, like we had a in Plymouth, or I think it's somewhere in Michigan. There, I want to say it's Plymouth, where they have the NTDP team.
Yeah.
They had a summer showcase where we came and played some games against different teams, and that was a good experience. That was like my first experience with that. And then after that, they looked through your first half of the year, and then when you get to Christmas, that's when they put out a list or decide to call you and ask you to come and try out. They make their cuts that first 20 days before the World Junior starts. And, I just was more so, it's like the other things, just enjoying it. My first experience with this, just trying to do the best I can do. And ended up being fortunate enough to make the team. And it was very cool. One of those first big time experiences.
So you played against some world-class players there. Obviously, it's the World Junior Championships. Who were some of the big studs from the U.S. team and from the other teams that you played against?
Well, on our team, we had a Jake Ottinger, Joe Wool were our goalies. Jeremy Swayman was our other goalie.
Not bad.
So our goalies were pretty good. Yeah. And then we had, I played with Adam Fox, which was cool. Lindgren was there. Scott Perunovich, Andrew Peak. Like, we had numerous guys that went on to play in the NHL and are having great NHL careers. And I remember my first experience against Elias Pettersson, actually playing against him. I was like, oh, this guy's pretty good. Had no idea who he was at the time. And just he was tough to defend against, but obviously he's made a career for himself.
So you played with those guys on World Juniors, and then you make it to the show. Now you're playing against those guys. What's that like, playing against the guy that you grew up with, playing with, or that you know pretty well? How does that go on the rink?
Yeah, I mean, it's cool to play against those guys, and some of the guys you grow up with. Most of the guys that I grew up with, I play with Pionk, but so I don't get to play against them. But no, it's definitely it's a cool experience. But once the puck drops, it's a game, and then after the game, you meet each other and say hi and whatnot. But it's cool. It's cool to see like your close people around you succeed as well as yourself.
Let's jump to the NHL for a second. You're traveling on a road trip. Which barn is the toughest one to play in?
Vegas is always tough to play in. It's always warm there. They always have their big production. Fans are into it. You got even fans that travel from all over the country. But Montreal is a tough one to play in. Their fans they're very diehard. They love it. They love to yell at you and everything. Trying to think who else. Some of those, I wouldn't say it's just like because of the fans, but some of the rinks and teams in Florida, the ice can get pretty soft, which can make it tough to play in because pucks always bouncing and everything. But yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say there's a real easy rink to play in the NHL.
I would imagine that. Yeah. So you guys had a great season, 23-24, just a great season. You had couple of guys that were going to be free agents at the end of the year. You weren't sure what was going to happen. The outlook for the team was kind of in doubt. Then Hellebuck and Scheifele both signed long-term contracts, and all of a sudden, strap on, boys, here we go. You made it to the second round. You played Colorado. You had good success against Colorado during the season. What happened in the playoffs?
They just, I don't know, they flipped a gear, and it's just some of those teams, they've gone far in playoffs over the past few years, and they obviously won the Stanley Cup, and they came out a different team than when we played them and beat them 7-0 a couple weeks before.
Yeah.
And, sometimes I feel like we just got shell shocked by it, and we won that first game in dramatic fashion, but, they came back a different animal.
What'd you learn from that?
Well, never count the other team out, I guess. And, you just got to make sure you stay in it because it's a 7-game series. It's not just a 3-game series where you win the first game and you think next game wins. You just got to stay into it and, never get too high, never get too low. And even when you're down, you're never out of it.
All right.
When playoff hockey arrives, in my opinion, when I'm watching a game, it seems like playoff hockey is a gear above the regular season. Is that correct? Do you feel that that's the way it is? Like you're just playing it just at a little bit higher level than you are during the regular season?
Yeah, I feel like it, everyone's got the excitement and everything that playoff hockey brings. And, it gets more physical. It's the do or die hockey. I'm sure that everyone that's played on a team growing up or whatnot has gone to playoffs at some point, and they know it's pretty much the same thing as any other league that you're going to play in. It's playoffs, and it's fun. Everyone wants to win, and it's not easy, and it's the team that's willing to go through all that hard stuff and all that adversity that usually come out on top.
Let's take a second to shout out some more sponsors. State Farm Insurance, for all your family's insurance needs. See Ryan Flagg at State Farm Insurance in Eau Claire, Wisconsin. Ryan has been a proud backer of the hockey community for decades and continues to play the game himself. And Williams Diamond Center is a fun and friendly place to find your next sparkling signature piece. Whether you're looking for a custom designed engagement ring, an anniversary gift, or a self-purchase to celebrate yourself, Williams has price points for every story and budget. Buyers and sellers of estate jewelry, coins, and more.
You play a physical game. There's no doubt in my mind when I watch the Jets play, you're going to lay something out because you're big enough to do that, obviously. But you've also had times when you've had to drop the gloves a couple times. Who's been your biggest or hardest opponent so far?
Well, the one this year was England on LA. But there's obviously some guys that you know not to mess with, and like Reeves and those guys. But there's some guys that you don't know about, and England was one of those ones, and didn't know about them. And then I
find out.
Yeah, I had a couple buddies that had played with them in the AHL, and they texted me after and said, "Yeah, he's a tough customer." And I was like, "Well, I did not know that." But it was just one of those moments where you're sticking up for one of your teammates. Thought he threw a dirty hit on him, and it is what it is. You got to pay the price, and even if you don't win, just important to show that you're willing.
That's the code, man.
Yep.
Got to stick up for your buddies.
Yep.
So as we're talking here, I'm noticing you got a little beard going. Is that still a playoff beard, or is that typically your look?
It's thicker than usual, but it's not the playoff beard. I trimmed it down a couple times.
Okay.
But yeah, we've just been so busy with house projects recently that haven't had time to shave.
Who's the toughest goalie you think you've had to face so far in the NHL?
Man, there are a lot of tough goalies to go against. I'd say the easiest one is Connor Hellebuck in practice, but I like to give him crap because I'm the one that warms him up. But there's a lot of tough ones.
How about the flex on your stick? What do you use for a flex?
I have a 100 flex. I cut it down. What they give me about an inch, so probably a 102 or something like that.
Okay. Wow. Okay.
Speaking of Hellebuck, how competitive is he against you guys in practice?
He can be competitive, and he cannot be competitive as well. But it's fun some days. Usually, I'd say 90% of the time, he's stopping every single puck we shoot at him, and the other 10%. Where we start to score a lot on him, and he gets mad. Everyone likes that, but it doesn't come by often. Yeah.
Okay.
You just had your head coach retire, Rick Bowness. What was it like playing for him?
I enjoyed it. Yeah, he was. I enjoyed it. He was a great head coach. Obviously, had a great career. Really wish we'd have been able to pull it out for him in his final year here, but. No, he was always nice to me. Always said hi to me in the hallway. He would always pull me aside if I ever needed anything. So, it really showed that he cared, and especially about the younger guys. And I enjoyed him, and I really wish him the best of luck in retirement.
Who's taking his place?
Arneal, our assistant coach.
Okay.
So, still looking for the other assistant coaches to come in, but we haven't figured those ones out yet. But our Scott Arneal.
Nice, familiar guy.
Yeah, he was our D coach, PK coach.
Perfect.
The past couple of years, so I think he'll do a good job. Yeah, he was also when Bowens had to leave a couple times throughout the year. He was the one that filled in for him. So where guys are familiar with him, and I think he'll do a good job.
Good,
sweet. When you look at the transitions that you've made from high school to college, and what you learned from college coaches, and then from college to the pros, and what you've learned from the pro coaches. What are some of the differences and aspects that those coaches at those different levels can teach a player?
I guess when you're like in high school hockey, it's most of those coaches haven't played at that high of a level, like high college level or pro level. So they haven't had a lot of those experiences, but at that time it's more about having fun, enjoying it. Can teach you a few things along the way. And then as you get into college, I feel like more of those coaches have played at that high of a level, and, you know, they know you're still young in your career. You can still, there's some things you can learn. There's some things that you still have to wait on down the road. But, when you get to a pro, I feel like that's when you really hone in on those skill sets, what you know you're going to be as a player, what role you're going to take on. That's where you find out, and then that's where the coaches can really hammer that into you and dial you in to be consistent and good at every aspect of your game.
During the hockey season, your time for practice is kind of limited because you guys are on the road or playing games all the time. So let's take an off day. What's an off day like for you guys?
Usually we have if we had a game the night before at home, it'll be like a 10 o'clock treatment kind of thing. Or if you want to stretch, come in as an optional. And if we're on the road, it's usually pushed back to like 11 or noon. But it's pretty laid back. When we're on the road, it's more so you're in the hotel. They have the optional stretch, and then you can go off and do whatever you want the rest of the day. And at home, it's pretty much the same, except for you don't have the optional stretch at the rink.
Are you skating at all on those off days?
No, nobody usually skates. Some guys, if they haven't got a lot of ice time recently, they might hop out there for a quick skate if need be. But usually on the off days, nobody's skating.
So let's go to a game situation. It's always great to have if the puck's on, you're in the D zone and the puck's on the blue line with their defenseman. It's always great to have a puck eating wing out there, sucking up the pucks. But sometimes they get through.
Yep.
Okay. And now you have a job you have to do. The defenseman on the blue line gets around your wing, and here he comes. Who do you dread firing one at your net if you're the guy in net front?
There's a lot
Just
of guys.
about anybody?
Yeah, especially on the power play, because usually those guys on the flanks are the guys that can shoot it the hardest.
Yeah. Like Ovechkin.
That was my answer. Him or Stamkos, because I'm usually on the left side going against lefties, but towards the second half of this year, I started playing the right side, and that's when you go up against guys like that, and it's just one of those things where you get down, turn your head, and you're just praying that it hits you in a piece of padding. It usually doesn't. Somehow it doesn't hit you in a piece of padding, but that's all it is. But guys appreciate it, and they'll give you your stick taps for it.
Yeah.
Ankle guards, you wear any of those?
Yeah, I got the Kevlar on my skates. I don't have the full skate protection, but I have that, and then I have a couple pads on each side coming down from my shin pad to the top of my skate, because it's about an inch separation, and the puck always seems to hit right there.
Oh yeah.
So I had to incorporate those in my pads this year.
Smart man.
Yeah, I've learned. Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
Are you a new equipment guy every year, or do you like to hang on to the old stuff?
I do not like new equipment. Nope. And equipment guys up in Winnipeg are always getting on me about it. Like, you need to change this out. And I'm like, just let me wear it for one more week. Just give me one more week. And eventually it'll turn into them just taking my gear away and putting new stuff in there. But yeah, I've always just liked old equipment. I've learned to like it a little bit more since they're starting to switch my gear out more recently. But yeah, I like the old equipment.
How about skates? How many pair a year?
Usually, realistically, I could use one pair the entire year, but usually two pairs, because they make me switch it out because they're sick of changing the rivets on them.
Sure. Yeah. So what do they do with the old stuff? Let's say, you're done with these skates, you're done with these shin pads, you're done with these gloves. What happens to those?
I think some of them, I don't entirely know, but I've seen some people with some of my gloves at like an airport looking to sign them. So maybe some kind of auction or something, depending on the condition of your equipment. But I feel like most of it I'm not really entirely sure where it goes.
All right.
Are you a Bauer guy, a CCM guy?
I use CCM stuff. Yeah.
And is it just the feel that you like?
I actually didn't really get into CCM stuff till I started using CCM sticks my senior year of high school, and then I got into more CCM gear when I got into played for Waterloo, and then eventually UMD. That's when I started using more CCM gear, and then I was like, this is comfortable. I'll just stick with it.
Yeah, works for you.
Yeah, it works for me.
Yeah.
Little chirping on the ice. What's the best chirp you've heard?
I'm not much of a chirper myself. So guys, I mean, I try and stay away from that. I like to keep quiet and just focus on the job. But I think it was like my fourth game or something. We're in Boston. I'm sure you can figure out who it was that was chirping me.
Marshy, maybe?
Maybe, yeah. But they iced the puck, and I was skating down. I beat him to the dot. And I could, you just got that feeling he's coming over your shoulder, and he's going to say something because you know how he is. And, it was early, so it was like my first time playing against all these big names. And he came around the net and was just like, yeah, probably should probably get off the ice now. And I just started laughing because I knew it was coming. I was expecting something, and then he said that, and I just started laughing. It was just funny. It was kind of one of the cool moments, like, oh yeah, cool. I just got tripped by Marchand.
Nice,
that's cool.
Nice,
yeah.
So you've been a pro for a couple of years now. What are some of the most challenging aspects of being a professional athlete?
I'd say it's more so just consistency and just making sure that you show up to the rink every day. You can't really have an off day. Sometimes you're going to have those off days. It is what it is. We're all human, but making sure they don't compound, whether that be in practice or in games. I feel like I've learned a lot on that, and just time management on things, just making sure you're taking care of your body and using your time to your advantage. Don't show up to the rink, get on the ice late, get off early, making sure you take your time to work on those things. There's some guys that can do that and some guys that can't. Obviously the gifted guys, they can play on their pure skill, but guys like me, I need to make sure I focus on working on my hands or other things and working on tape-to-tape passes. And those are important things that keep you in the league a long time.
So we hear a lot of the guys talk about diet and nutrition and rest and, the physical conditioning. Well, back in the 60s and 70s, there wasn't a lot of that. There was a lot of smoking, a lot of drinking. I mean, if you can imagine that for a professional hockey player, it's like, holy cow. Any of the guys still doing that these days, or most of them pretty much sticking to a good, healthy regimen?
Most of the guys nowadays are sticking to a good, healthy regimen, especially in our team. Everyone's pretty dialed in. You obviously have your couple nights where you have fun. You got time on the road or whatnot, and but no, everyone on our team especially is very dialed in, and our strength coaches do a good job up there of making sure we're working out after every game, and just doing all these little things, making sure we get a workout or some kind of, if you need help with anything nutrition wise or anything, they're there to help you and support you. And it's especially with the kids coming up and that high school age right now, they're training harder than a lot of the kids. I feel like every year the training keeps getting more and more just evolution into it, and guys are working harder and more dialed in. And I feel like for me as a hockey player right now, I just have to make sure I continue climbing with those guys, because otherwise, if you don't climb with them, you're going to be kicked out, and
they're going to pass you up.
And it's just a business, and that's just the way it is.
Wow. So you want to stay on top of your game.
Got to make sure
as long as you can.
Yep, absolutely.
You mentioned a roommate a little bit earlier, and I forgot his name already, but there's got to be some banter between the two of you when you guys aren't on the ice.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, there is. We've already had Sarah Orleski, we had a nice sit down with her, and she came over and went through kind of a day in the life with us, so to speak. And we had lived with each other for the past 3 years, and our first year was COVID year together. Cole Perfetti, he's an Ontario kid, So at the time, he was only 18 years old, and I was 21. And our first year there, we started to get to know each other more and more. And then the year after that is when we're like, well, we both don't have our girlfriends here. Do you want to live together? It'll be good to have some company. And ended up doing that for the next 3 years. Enjoyed every minute of it. But the more time you spend together, the more you get angry at each other and everything. But we had a good time together, and we turned into brothers, so to speak, at the end. And it was fun. And now we're moving on. So.
All right.
Any knee hockey on the off days where you're throwing elbows at each other in the apartment or house you're renting?
No knee hockey. I'm probably getting too old for that. My knees are too bad. But we played a lot of like darts. He got one of those metal dart boards for Christmas one year, and we started getting into darts, and that got very competitive.
Oh, I can imagine.
Yeah, we played a lot of board games against each other, a lot of card games. He'd always get mad at me because I'd get very competitive, and that's usually whenever we played a game like that, it got to a point where we'd get so pissed off at each other. All right, we're done. This is enough. But it was all in good fun.
So who's the clean guy and who was the dirty pig? In the situation.
We actually we both did pretty well. After the first year, we both went into our roles where, we both help out with the dishes after, or the guy, whoever prepped the food, would do the dishes after. And then I did the outside grilling. He did all the cooking inside. So it got to a point where we were kind of like a married couple. We had each had our chore list to do, and ended up working out pretty well. And his girlfriend lived with us last year, and she kept the house very clean, which was very nice.
Nice.
Yeah.
It's nice to have that.
Yes.
Absolutely. So how about any injuries you've had to battle throughout your career?
I've had a couple broken ankles, just from blocking shots in high school. I had a high ankle sprain my second year of pro at training camp the first day. That one was very tough because, you're working hard all summer, and this is your second year. You want to prove yourself, and just one of those fluke things, battle on the boards, fall backwards, guy falls on my ankle, and out for 6 to 8 weeks. And it was tough at that time, but I got through it. It's all good now. And other than that, I've been, knock on wood, been healthy.
Knock on wood. Yeah, absolutely.
How long is your contract and what year are you in?
I have this contract I signed before last year, so last summer. It's a 2-year contract, and I'm in my second year, so hopefully sign another contract after this year.
Super.
Yeah.
And the team that's coming back, you guys had a hell of a chemistry this last year. Is the core group coming back again?
I hope so. I mean, we've obviously had a really good team, and we've made the playoffs the past couple of years, and it didn't go our way, but at some point it's going to change, and it's got to change, and I feel like every year that goes by, we get closer and closer. And obviously, there's some new additions and some guys that we lose. But as far as the core guys there, you'd like to see them come back. And obviously, Scheifele and Hellebuck have both proven that they want to come back, and that's great to see. And it's good for the team.
So you've had a couple weeks off.
Yep.
Since you guys left the playoffs, and you moved into your beautiful new lake home. When do you start ramping her up? When do you start thinking about next year?
Actually just started last week in the gym, slowly working my way into it. Just a few workouts a week. Because it gets to a point where I kind of want to take some time off. It's a long season. You're looking to take more time off, but once you get into like week 4, you're like, or week 3, week 4, you're kind of like, I'm kind of itching to do a little something here. I'm getting a little bit bored. So, back into it now, but, start slow and start ramping it up after a few weeks. But it's been good because I've been just so busy with house projects as well. So it's a lot of the stuff I've been doing has been a workout in itself. So that part's nice. Keeps me busy.
Fun. When
you're doing your workouts, off-season workouts, what's your balance for like weightlifting and or ice time sort of things?
We actually, we got a good program there with, we just use Jake Wolf, our, head strength coach with Winnipeg, and he sends us a program. But
nice.
so Neil Pionk and I just run through that. So it's good to have somebody else that's doing the same program as you. But usually it's in the hour to hour and a half range of strength training, and then go on the ice and for an hour and a half again. But we get that all done pretty much early in the morning. We work out at like between 7:30 and 8, and then usually there's ice afterwards. Right now the ice isn't in Amsoil, so if you want to skate, you got to skate around different arenas around town. But when it is in, it's very convenient. It's all in one location.
So afternoons then, golfing, fishing, house projects?
Right now it's been a little bit of golfing and mainly house stuff. Just trying to get my fiance and I moved in. Had to move in a lot of her stuff. Had to move her out of her apartment in Minneapolis there and move all of her stuff up here. And we're finally getting everything put away. And now we're getting into the cleaning portion of things, which is good. You can see an end to a certain part of the house stuff, and then the next day you wake up and something new will come up. But
absolutely.
It never ends. But no, it's been good. I've no complaints.
If you had a message for a young Dylan Samberg who is currently at a young age and wants to make it to the pro level, what's that message you want to give to that young Dylan or young kids nowadays that this is what you need to do in order to make it where I am?
I would say, especially when you're that young, just enjoy it as long as you can. I never really thought I even had a chance of going to the NHL until I heard my name being talked about for being drafted, and then I was like, oh, this can actually really be a thing. But, I never thought about it leading up to that. You always, when you're on the outdoor rinks as a kid, you're wearing your Crosby jersey or something else, and you're dreaming about that day, but you're never really sure if it's ever going to happen. And I would just say enjoy it as long as you can. Take the time to sit back, relax, enjoy your friends. And then once you're done with high school, then you can worry about the bigger and better things. But I've just I never really thought about the bigger picture in the future, and it worked out for me. So you'll get to that point in your life where you have to worry about that. But for now, just sit back, relax, enjoy those moments, because those are a lot of the moments I look back on that youth hockey that I remember and cherish forever.
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you what, this has been fantastic. It's so fun to come into a situation and interview a pro hockey player that's back in his hometown where he won a state championship, close by where you won a national championship. And I got to imagine that your family has got to be happy that you're back in the area in the off season.
Yeah, especially my dad, because he's got his fishing partner back. So he likes that portion of things. And he's very good. He's always asking me to help. He's always wanted to get out here and help on house projects. So he enjoys it, and it's just good to be home, be close to home, and it's only 20 minutes from where I grew up. So can always go home for a nice home cooked meal whenever I want, which is great.
Very nice.
Yeah.
In addition to the things you mentioned, he's so humble and appreciative, and appreciates all his teammates from the past, appreciates all the coaches from the past, and just I loved it when you said playing with all your childhood buddies. I mean, that's where the love started, and you got those memories forever. So that's cool.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Absolutely.
One last question for you, and that's, what is the goal for you personally this upcoming NHL season?
For me, I feel like I would hope to get up on like the second pair, get some time up there. I feel like that's what I've been kind of hoping for, looking to achieve, and we'll see how it goes, obviously. But it's just good to be playing, getting your time, getting your minutes, and I'm looking to bring more of an offensive side of things to the game and shoot more, as my coaches would like to say to me all the time.
Like it. Okay.
Said, you got a good shot, why not use it? So I need to work on that as well.
Nice.
Slap shot, wrist shot, snap shot?
My preference is a snapshot. That, or I got to work on the one-timer a little bit.
Okay.
There you go. Well, we're excited to watch you this year. It'll be fun watching you in the Jets.
Appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Appreciate it.
Thank you for your time. It's been a blast.
Thank you, JC and Mogi. I appreciate it.
Yeah, you bet.
Ladies and gentlemen, please don't forget to leave a comment or a thumbs up on your social media platforms. It helps Mogi and I stay in the game.
Absolutely. And a huge thank you to our special guest, Dylan Samberg. Thanks again for hosting us at your home.
Absolutely.
And as well as you folks, our faithful listeners. Please remember to stop by and visit our sponsors, Riverside Bike and Skate, Chippewa Valley Orthopedics and Sports Medicine, Dooley's Pub, Ryan Flagg at State Farm Insurance, and Williams Diamond Center. Please follow us on your favorite social media platforms. And remember, folks, until next time, keep your head on a swivel and stay on your inside edges.